Today I want to share with you 10 essential home remedies using common pantry staples. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome to Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills for making nutrient-dense foods like bone broth, ferments, sourdough, and more. So if you enjoy learning about those things, consider subscribing to my channel and don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, the reason I like these home remedies and consider them essential is because they're all things that you can find very easily at your local grocery store. They don't involve ordering any special berries or finding special herbs or tracking down unusual or odd ingredients. None of that. These are all very simple things that you'll find in pretty much any grocery store. Now, these are not substitutions for modern Western medical care. I definitely believe in that, but I also like the comfort, basically, that's offered by home remedies. I'm a firm believer in the integrative medicine approach. You use Western medicine when you need it, but you also have these various home remedies that can help in a pinch to make you feel a little comfortable. And if any of you are familiar with Dr. Andrew Weil, not 100% sure how to pronounce his last name, but he has a wonderful line of books. He's a Harvard-educated medical doctor. And the book that I just have here, this is an old book. It was published, I think, in 1995, called Spontaneous Healing. You may recognize him. He kind of has that Santa Claus look. But he was very popular for a while and, was on a lot of talk shows and whatnot. But he was always a big proponent of integrative medicine. And he even went on to form not sure of the exact name of it, but it's like the Integrative Medicine arm of the medical school at the University of Arizona. And so I always like to have the approach where you do have home remedies to fall back on that can be very helpful and make you feel better. And if they're not a perfect solution to your particular problem, they at least can bring you some comfort. And that's where I feel these 10 very common ingredients fall. That's the category into which they fall. Well, the first ingredient is very common, and I think so many of us are very familiar with this, and that's honey. Now, most of us know that it helps when you have a cold and tea, with a sore throat and a cough and so on and so forth. But honey can be very helpful to keep in your kitchen if you get a little burn. Just give your burn some good rinsing under cold water, and then a little honey can be very soothing to help, since honey is very rich in antibacterial properties. It can help soothe your burn and prevent the development of infection. And I just find this fascinating, and this has actually been studied by scientists. And I'll be sure to link to the article that is where they publish through the National Institutes of Health, where they publish all of these scientific studies, where scientists studied honey and they found that yes, it actually helped. So definitely keep that honey in your kitchen. Another easy to find ingredient that is a real workhorse in the kitchen is ginger, and fresh ginger. Now, if you have a juicer, you can juice ginger, but if you don't have a juicer, don't worry. But ginger is a wonderful remedy, more or less, for when you have a cold or some type of flu virus. You can put your ginger in the blender, you can add a little honey, you can add a little cayenne pepper and a little lime juice, and then add in about a cup of hot water, whirl it in your blender, and then drink that as a tea. And it is very soothing. Ginger being a spice, along with a little cayenne pepper added into that mixture, really opens up, as my mother would say, the flanges, I guess all the bronchial tubes and the sinuses. Spicy things can really help open up all of your airways when you have a cold or the flu and you feel very congested. So definitely put ginger on your shopping list to keep handy in your refrigerator or on your counter, especially during cold and flu season. Now, what if you can't find it fresh? Don't worry, you can definitely use powdered ginger as well. It has wonderful similar properties to the fresh ginger and will help in making that hot tea in your blender or just used in your cooking. It's a wonderful spice to keep in your pantry, whether dried or fresh. The third common pantry ingredient that's wonderful to keep on hand for home remedies is oatmeal. All you need is just a little container of your old-fashioned flaked oatmeal. It can be wonderfully soothing if you want to put it in a little gauze bag or even grind into a powder in your blender and then put it into your bathtub. Either hang the little bag of oats under the faucet or put some of the grinded oat flakes that you've grinded into a powder and put that into your bath. This is wonderful for when you have skin conditions or you're itchy or a little eczema. You might see I think it's the line of Aveeno products often will sell oatmeal. It's basically colloidal oatmeal. I forget the exact terminology, but basically it's oatmeal that's been ground into a powder and you sprinkle it into your bathtub. You can make this at home very easily just by grinding up some old-fashioned oatmeal, old-fashioned flaked oats, and add that to your tub. Also, taking the oats, either whole or ground up into a powder, can make a wonderful scrub for your skin. And apparently it even can help as a scrub if you have acne. So it's a wonderful product to have in your home remedy arsenal. And the fourth common pantry ingredient that's wonderful to keep on hand as a home remedy are tea bags, just plain black tea bags. And they can be decaffeinated or they can be caffeinated. It doesn't matter. What you're looking for is what's contained in tea, and that's tannins. And your black tea has the most tannins. Now, you can have green tea bags as well, but black tea bags work the best. And what you want to do is steep the tea, you can enjoy the tea, and then you take your tea bags, and if you have some type of inflammation, specifically puffy eyes, and you lay down with the cooled tea bags on your puffy eyes, it will help reduce the puffiness. And speaking of puffy eyes, slices of cold cucumber work very well. You've probably seen pictures of ladies having a beauty mask and then the cucumber slices on their eyes. Cucumbers also work very well, like tea bags, at reducing the puffiness in eyes. Also, since tannins are helpful with inflammation, they can really help when you're sunburned, which is an inflammation of your skin. And you can steep some tea, a good amount of tea, maybe 4 or 5 tea bags, and then add that to a tub of water, and then soak in that tea water for about 10 minutes or so, and it will help ease the sting of the sunburn. And if you may have just been a sunburn on your face or your hands, you can actually take the tea bag that you've brewed and allowed to cool and put it on your face or on your hands that may have been sunburn or even windburn, any sort of skin irritation like that. And the tannins will help pull out that sting of the sunburn. The next pantry ingredient that you want to add to your shopping list is olive oil, number 5 on our list. Olive oil clearly is wonderful for us to eat, but it can also be used externally, and it can be used in so many ways. It's wonderful for chapped lips. It's wonderful for dry skin. It's wonderful if the tips of your hair, the ends of your hair are dry. If you rub some into the ends before you shampoo, it can really help to moisturize those dry ends. And it's absolutely indispensable for dry, cracked heels. If when you get out of the shower and you dry your feet, but you quickly add rub in some nice olive oil to your heels and then immediately put on some socks and sleep with them overnight, within a few days of doing this, your heels are going to look so much better. So Olive oil is a wonderful moisturizer. Not only can you use it externally, but it moisturizes us internally as well. So it is just an all-purpose food and home remedy that you want to make sure you have on your shopping list and that you have in your pantry. Number 6 on the list is peppermint, the herb peppermint. And you can buy this in tea bags. You can buy it in a just a bottle where it's been dried in the herb and spice section at your grocery store, or you can even grow it yourself. And you don't need any special conditions for growing peppermint or any mint for that matter, because mint grows like a weed. You can have it, if you have it in your garden, find an area where you can control it. But you can just have it in a little flower pot on your balcony or on your windowsill if you live in the city, and it is going to become a lifesaver in your kitchen. If you have any kind of digestive problems, peppermint tea is wonderful for soothing that. If you have indigestion, if you have an upset stomach, if you find you're a little gaseous, many things related to digestion can be solved with a good hot cup of peppermint tea. And if you've had a very garlicky meal or an onion-rich meal, and you want to try to help to tamp down some of the bad breath that can be associated with those foods, you can chew on some of the fresh mint, or even take a little bit of the dried mint and put it on your tongue to soften it up a bit and move it around in your mouth, and then take a nice glass of water, whether you've been chewing on the fresh or the dried mint, and that'll definitely help to start remove some of the odor directly from your mouth, as well as start to tamp down some of it lower down in your digestive system. And also, like spices, peppermint tea can be very soothing when you have a cold, because the oils in peppermint definitely help open up the airways that may be congested from the cold. And so that, with a little honey, maybe a little lemon juice, can make a very soothing beverage, either made with the herbal tea bag or with the fresh herb that you've grown yourself. If it's just fresh herbs, you can throw fresh mint, you can throw it in a little saucepan with some water, bring it to a boil, and then let it steep for about 10 minutes, then strain it. You can drink it just like that, or you can add a little honey, a little lemon juice, whatever you want, and you have a wonderful herbal, as it's known, not really a tea, but if I'm saying the word correctly, a tisane, an herbal tisane. So that's a wonderful ingredient to have in your pantry or growing in your garden, mint. Number 7 is another very common ingredient, and I think pretty much all Italians have this in their kitchen, and that's garlic. You can't go wrong with garlic. Garlic is a wonderful source of antimicrobial ingredients. It's antiviral, it's antibacterial, it's anti-inflammatory, and we really have to thank the ingredient in garlic, which, again, I'm not a scientist, I'm never quite sure how to pronounce these, but the ingredient is it sounds like the name allicin. It's spelt a little differently, but the allicin in the garlic is what we owe all of these wonderful antimicrobial properties to. And it has been found that garlic can help ease the symptoms of a cold or a flu. So if you feel yourself getting sick and you can tolerate, maybe taking a clove of garlic or juicing a little garlic, or just mixing it into a little bit of a home remedy that I've shared some with you before, about mixing it with maybe some lemon and some lime and maybe a little honey and then some garlic, and taking that either as a little bit of a paste or mixed with hot water and made into a beverage, can be very soothing and help ease your symptoms. So garlic is wonderful. And as I said, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. It can help with aches and pains. And so it's really one of those all-purpose home remedy cure-alls to definitely keep in your kitchen. So put garlic on your list and make sure you always have a good supply. And fresh is always best, but in a pinch, if you want to use some garlic powder, or you want to use the pre-chopped garlic that comes in a jar, something's better than nothing. So you can definitely have those on hand as well. But if you just keep a couple of bulbs of fresh garlic on hand, they're always going to come in handy, not only to make your cooking delicious, but to have, especially during cold and flu season, if you feel yourself starting to get the sniffles. Number 8 is apples. And with that, I will also add apple cider vinegar. Apples are very rich in pectin. And pectin can really help with digestion. So if you're plagued with heartburn, trying to add apples into your diet can really help, because pectin is very good at absorbing acids that may be irritating your stomach or your esophagus. And taking it one step further, if you have apple cider vinegar, either purchased and preferably raw, and with, as they say, the mother, or you're making your own homemade, which we've done together. I have many videos on making apple cider vinegar, and I'll be sure to share those. And I'll share a lot of videos for the different home remedies that I've showed you how to make using a lot of these ingredients and these common pantry ingredients. So nothing fancy, and I'll be sure to put those links to those in, and so open the description under this video and check those out. But as I was saying, so whether you make your apple cider vinegar homemade or you have it store-bought and preferably raw, you can mix that apple cider vinegar with a little bit of water. Adding a little honey is always nice, but you can certainly leave that out, and that can help quell indigestion. It's really, it's just a wonderful pantry item to have on hand, because a little bit in water can keep you from maybe having to turn to some of those over-the-counter digestive aids that really are more like putting a Band-Aid on something rather than trying to help your system heal itself and become better at digesting your food. That's where the apple cider vinegar and water comes in. It can help you better digest your food and thereby help maybe put an end to the constant cycle of having indigestion. I'm certainly looking at what you're eating and adjusting your diet is very helpful, but taking some apple cider vinegar in water can help maybe break the cycle of getting indigestion, taking antacids, getting indigestion the next day, taking more antacids. Maybe just incorporating a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water with your meal, you may find that that helps quell the problem. So it's definitely worth trying before just running off and relying on antacids, over-the-counter antacids. Now for number 9, I highly recommend you take a stroll down the spice aisle at your local grocery store and put some turmeric in your grocery cart. Turmeric has, as I think we've heard a lot about, has wonderful anti-inflammatory properties, but it also has mild antibiotic properties. Now, from an anti-inflammatory standpoint, you can make turmeric milk, which we've made together. I'll be sure to link to that in the description below. But you can make turmeric milk when you feel the sniffles coming on. Because of its anti-inflammatory properties, it can make you feel a little better when you have the aches and pains associated with a cold and flu, or if you just have aches and pains for whatever reason. Some turmeric tea or turmeric milk can help ease some of that inflammation and make you feel better. But turmeric also has antibiotic properties. And if you get a small cut, now I'm just talking about a superficial cut, nothing serious, that you would definitely want to go get medical attention for immediately. But if you just get a superficial cut and you don't have any antibiotic ointment, you can make a paste with some turmeric and some water and use that on your cut in place of antibiotic ointment. So that's a wonderful thing to have on hand. Now, while you're in that spice aisle, also add, if you don't already have this at home, add some black pepper into your cart. Because if you take turmeric for its anti-inflammatory properties. Mixing in some black pepper into your turmeric milk or your turmeric tea or into your cooking when you use turmeric is very helpful, because there's an ingredient in black pepper that helps make it easier for the body to absorb the anti-inflammatory properties that are contained in the turmeric. So be sure to use them together, because they work together very synergistically. Also, while you're in the spice aisle, adding a little cayenne into your cart is a smart move too, because as I had mentioned earlier, mixing some ginger and some cayenne and honey and some vitamin C juice, maybe lemon juice or lime juice, to make a beverage when you have a cold and flu can be very helpful. Cayenne is wonderful, you know, as I had said, for opening up the flanges, opening up the breathing, your breathing ways. But when you do feel congested, spices can be wonderful, not only for, you know, warming the body, but opening up your airways. And also, as we had talked about with the apple cider vinegar and the peppermint, adding some fennel into your cart, and just the fennel seeds. I'm not necessarily talking about the fresh fennel that you can find in your produce section. I'm talking about the fennel seeds that are sold in a jar in the spice aisle. Chewing on a little bit of fennel seeds can be very helpful if you experience indigestion, or you know, some people will say, oh, I have a little bit of a sour stomach, and just to aid digestion in general after a meal. It's very common, and it can also help tamp down some of the odors associated with your stronger foods like garlic and onion. So if you have the turmeric, the cayenne, the black pepper, and some fennel seeds, you're all set. You have your little home remedy collection of spices to help you with various ailments. Now, number 10 for common ingredients for your home remedy pantry is actually a bonus, because I'm actually putting two things together in this category, and that's salt and sugar, but they're so common, and I figured I'd just put them together. Salt, because it makes for a wonderful scrub for dry elbows and those dry heels. You want to do a scrub with a little olive oil that you've also got in your home remedy pantry, and you mix it with a little salt, and you do a little scrub on those dry elbows. After a couple of days, they're going to be beautifully smooth, and the same with your heels. So definitely, and that can just be, when you're using it in that capacity, it can just be that little round tub of plain old table salt. I know that when I talk about cooking, I encourage you to buy sea salt or the Himalayan pink salt or real salt, ones that don't contain any anti-caking agents and so on and so forth. But for these sort of home remedies, or in this case maybe a little bit of a beauty treatment, any salt will do. And mixing it with some olive oil is really going to help those rough patches. Now, sugar, like salt, can also be used to make a body scrub, but I have a better use for it. This one is, I'm just talking about, is plain white sugar, but this one is near and dear to my heart, this particular remedy, because I have a terrible, I don't know if you'd call it habit or what, but I tend to develop hiccups, and I have had hiccups ever since I was a little kid. And what works wonders to get rid of your hiccups, and this is what my mother used to do when I was a little girl, was take a little bit of white sugar and put it under my tongue, and it would help calm my hiccups. Well, as a child, I had no idea why it worked, but it was magical as far as I was concerned. Not only did it taste good, it very quickly calmed my hiccups. And now I know as an adult why. There's a scientific basis for it, that the sweetness from sugar triggers the vagus nerve, I think I'm saying that correctly, the vagus nerve, to cause the spasms that are causing the hiccups to be squelched. So there's something, the sweetness kicks the vagus nerve into high gear, and it calms those spasms very quickly that are causing those hiccups. So if you are prone to hiccups or your children are prone to hiccups, a little white sugar can really save the day. Now, if you'd like some more ideas for home remedies, where I show you how to make things that are a little more advanced than just these very common pantry items, be sure to click on this video over here, where I show you how to make elderberry syrup and rosehip syrup and a thyme-based, that's T-H-Y-M-E, the herb-based cough medicine, and all sorts of wonderful home remedies like that. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country Kitchen. Love and God bless.